Welcome back. Those federal CDOs Kirsten and I just talked about are important partners in a lot of agency work, according to federal CIOs, chief financial officers, and other leaders. One area more federal leaders tell me their data experts are important is customer experience. Andy Zeswitz is Chief Technology Officer at REI Systems. Andy, welcome. Thanks for coming on the program. Regarding that customer experience, evidence-based decision-making is the way a lot of agencies are using data and trying to apply it to customer experience. What are the ways that you're starting to see agencies structure data in order to be able to accomplish those goals?
So the agencies are structuring data around mission. The challenge that they have is the volume of data and the way that those data are structured. But to serve the purpose of government, right, to provide services to citizens, to potential citizens, looking at how to leverage those data and apply them to a particular challenge, a particular problem, building on that customer experience.
The customer experience piece of that then intersects how with having data structured, knowing where it came from, and as Kirsten talked about, knowing what the source of the data was and all of that.
Absolutely. So the ability to take those data in a way that is ensuring the confidentiality, the integrity, the accessibility of those data, and applying those to a customer experience problem is paramount. Understanding what's called data provenance. How the data existed over time, how it's used, but then taking those data and finding ways to solve the problems that exist within systems today. Mm-hmm. I think you'll find that several folks indicate that federal systems aren't always easy to use.
Yeah, that's one way to put it, yes.
So part of the mission is to take those data and actually make those systems easier to use for the citizens.
Mm-hmm. You talked about one of the challenges being the volume of data that agencies are dealing with. How are they dealing with that challenge? What are you seeing agencies do successfully to try to mitigate? I mean, they can't help it. The data is going to come in. What do they do with it all? Is, I guess, the question.
Sure, and it is a monumental challenge. Decades upon decades of data in various formats. Data have changed structure over time. I think one of the biggest pieces is really the evolution and the empowerment of the chief data officer, right? Somebody who it's their mission to understand the data, to label the data, to actually curate, govern the data, but then also provide those data to make actionable services for, again, citizen enrichment.
There are some things that government has to do, privacy considerations and others that commercial organizations don't have to do. How are those things impacting all of these issues that we've talked about so far, Andy?
No, absolutely. That's a great question. You know, the privacy of individual citizens is something that the federal government takes very seriously. There are laws on how some data can be used. There are data protections. There are data protection acts that are in place to protect citizen data. Part of the challenge is the interpretation of how data can be used. Right? So there are different levels of data, different ways of using the data. If you go on to a computer system, an IT system online, you somewhat expect that your data might actually be, you have to put it in once, it comes out. That may not be the case because of some of the data protections that are actually in place. Mm-hmm. But the other way that data can be used would be in relation to enterprise data analytics. And in that scenario, data can be anonymized. So it's no longer associated with an individual citizen, but you're able to aggregate data and be able to look at insights, whether those are usage patterns, error rates, looking more at a longitudinal or analysis over time.
With 30 seconds left, what's the role of AI potentially in all of this?
I think we are just scratching the surface of artificial intelligence. The data as they exist today are not necessarily conducive for a lot of government systems to leverage the capability or the promise of artificial intelligence. Classification may be a more immediate use. Generative AI, which is catching the news a lot lately, is a little bit further off, I think.
Andy, thanks very much for joining me. Appreciate your time.